Good day, Mr. Manchios. I am Constable Oswald's partner in this investigation.
Be quick and gentle. Some of your colleagues are untrained bores. Although I don't mind meeting young officers.
Allora, si è già capito personaggio.
If you cooperate in finding Fabio's murderer, there will be no need to meet with the boss again.
That voice. Furnace, friend? You're the policeman. What a disappointment.
Only an undercover agent can scour a ditch full of deviants. I am a consulting detective, although I'm capable of replacing the entire department through my consultations.
Sharp-tongued, I like it. May I presume this tongue will get us out of this trouble? I would be so
Io con questa lingua non faccio niente, soprattutto con te, guarda.
State proprio al pensiero tranquillo perché sicuramente non accadrà niente.
We're all busy after all.
I need to examine you first.
E cresto un as.
Alcibiade. Si è messo il fare. Azione da tintura. Mani lavate in fretta.
Vabbè, che nasconde la sua età sembra chiaro.
Eh sì, si è messo pure, si è pure truccato pure di nascondere la sua età.
Cioè, che queste comunque l'hanno cannata, perché come ci può venire in mente che sia questo? Cioè, uno che si va in questi post, orge, festini, rituali, mo l'unico problema che non te è l'essere pignolo nei confronti della polizia. Proprio l'ultima cosa che ha quest'uomo è l'igiene, probabilmente. Ma poi pure mani lavate in fretta, quindi pignolo per la polizia, cioè, proprio questo non si può sbagliare. Ma perché dici ti sei sbagliato? E io what? Perché è stronzo, se chi sei una persona che si gira molto.
Sherlock, that's easy for you to say to an old man when you look as though you are barely 15.
But still, it shouldn't be an issue for someone of your
Chi si
status.
pare
For
quindicenni?
people of my age, it isn't an issue, no. But the younger ones can be so afraid of wrinkles and grey flecks. I have to adapt.
Ma non stanno
A
i
methodical
quindicenni
man
come
who
Sherlock
cares
Holmes,
for
ne
his
gioca
body
in
but
sta
misses
pazziani.
the soap under his fingernails. Are you so impatient or perhaps even impulsive?
I wouldn't call myself that. Silly little details. If I missed it, it wasn't important. Or rather, it was less important than who or what I was focused on.
What was Fabio like? His personality, his habits?
Già giro vi darò
Anything you can
questa
tell me?
domanda.
He was the brightest star of my parties. Young, magnetic, and full of energy. I don't even want to mention his beauty. Otherwise, I'll be sobbing.
An expensive champion, I imagine.
His performances were flawless. He deserved his payment. Do you think he was murdered because of money?
Possibly. What about the other guests? Were they used to opening their wallets as well?
I wouldn't restrict my guests from anything. I'm sure Fabio received a few coins from others for his services.
Mr. Vogel told me a little about your parties, but I would like to know more directly from you.
I'm all yours, Sherlock. You have me arrested and locked here with you alone.
Why did you invite Mr. Vogel as your special guest?
He's a pretty fellow. He's capable of surprising the public. He has a talent for saying words that no one else would wish to either say or hear.
I suppose I can't argue with that.
He is a free addition to the eccentricity of the party, which is fine by me, as long as it enhances my party.
I'd like to know who you usually invite to your parties.
Free minds who are able to leave reality for an evening, who can taste forbidden fruit without prejudice. There is nothing that quite spices up life like these parties, assuming one is old enough and has worked many years for the good of one's country.
Oh, all true laborers, I see. Do you recognize this book? Could Matista have borrowed it from your library?
She didn't ask me. How ungrateful.
The things described in the book were inspiration for the rituals you performed?
Do you really believe that blood, symbols, and incantations can resurrect the dead? They are just eerie tales with a mix of occultism and voodoo. My rituals are a stage to show some of the forbidden pleasures.
There is undeniable evidence that you were the original recipient of this letter.
What are you talking about? Is it addressed to me?
Your protege wanted a fresh start, it seems. This is sufficient to charge you.
Me? Hurt my star? Are you insane that you would accuse me of such a thing?
He did not consider himself as yours. Since you deny everything, let's move on. Do you have any idea as to how the letter could have ended up in Mr. Vogel's pocket?
You were the detective. Perhaps he took it from Fabio. Werner was a little high.
I've read the letter about your will. A harsh method of ridiculing Santos. I doubt he will use mustache wax when he wears no mustache to begin with.
Where did you get it? Is the slug here? Tell him I shouldn't have to provide for him. He's a grown man who shouldn't sit on his uncle's neck. He conceives himself as my only heir.
And who is he to you?
He's a leech on my aging body. He has only added problems to my life since the death of his mother.
I fail to see why you made him your major domo.
He needed to know his place, so I taught him.
Do you have any idea who tipped off the police to raid your mansion, Mr. Manchios?
Of course. It was you. I could even say you Sherlocked me in here.
A good guess, but the wrong one. The fellow who did that was Mr. Pinchetti, your major domo.
What? Santos? But how could he even know? If he's not the murderer himself. The ungrateful swine. He has dared to besmirch my reputation.
Not a very eloquent choice of words.
What should I call him then, since he's a snitch? Make him talk, Sherlock. I'm quite certain he knows more about the murder than he has told the police.
You bought an expensive pair of cufflinks for Fabio. Were they his price? Or were they a tip for an exclusive show?
It was pure business. Fabio escorted me a few times. I was merely showing my gratitude.
This pair cost a small fortune. You must be extremely grateful then. Tell me more.
You've thrust a knife in an exposed nerve, Sherlock. Yes, he was my protege and my beacon also. With my experience and his beauty, we could have achieved anything. I had faith in him. I would have made him.
Vogel?
I have reason to believe that the intended recipient of the incriminating letter may have been Kurt Manchios.
Well, that makes sense. Though I did spend quite some time with Mr. Manchios during the party.
Unfortunately, even with an answer, that may still not be enough to clear you with the police. But fear not, I will persevere.
I hope your attempt to put things straight will make up for...
You being on a bender?
Touché.
Potrebbe essere la seconda.
Ma secondo te, questa volta, avranno il coraggio di dirci se c'è un colpevole? O rimarrà figlio del caso?
Dovremmo capirlo da solo. Effettivamente Manchas, quando gli abbiamo parlato della lettera, la sua risposta istintiva è stata perché è firmata? Cioè l'ha detto con una sicurezza come se già sapesse che non era firmata, quindi se non era rivolta a lui cosa ne sapeva? Come ha fatto a leggerla se non era rivolta a lui? Ma forse a quel punto, se è stato lui, Santos perché ha chiamato la polizia? Cioè l'ha chiamato perché gliel'ha ordinato Manchas?
Santos chiama la polizia perché noi sappiamo solo perché scopre il cadavere.
E poi consideriamo che Manchas è colui che ha chiesto a Vogel di chiamare Sherlock, cioè quindi è stato lui a chiamare Sherlock, a coinvolgere Sherlock.
Questo si sposerebbe bene con l'idea che Manchios ha fatto chiamare un detective e poi ha messo la lettera nella tasca di Werner per poter dire guarda è stato Vogel. Allora, cioè il detective ingenuamente va a pensare però intendo niente contro Manchios, quindi io non lo accuserei mai come non accuserei nessuno di tutte e tre. nella testa del gioco dovremmo capire che lui prima ha cercato di incontrare Matista, poi ha pensato magari non è sufficiente, sempre se diamo per scontato che sia lui l'assassino. Poi ha detto magari non è sufficiente, facciamo che aggiungo anche una prova contro Vogel, in modo che se proprio devono pensare a qualcuno pensano a Matista prima, a Vogel poi, ma non a me.
Sì, allora lui ha incontrato Vogel sia prima che dopo l'omicidio di Fabio. Prima gli ha dato la chiave e molto probabilmente ha inserito pure la lettera nella sua tasca. Poi ha ucciso, è andato a uccidere Fabio e si è ripulito, ha usato il metodo, il rituale del libro che era suo praticamente, perché poi Matista l'ha presa in prestito da lui, e dopodiché forse lui la lettera gliel'ha messa dopo, perché magari se ne è accorto dopo che aveva la lettera lui nella sua tasca, perché se quello era il camerino di Fabio, quindi magari la lettera se l'è ritrovata stesso Manchos nell'abito che ha preso dal camerino di Fabio. Avrà visto la lettera, se ne sarà accorto e l'ha messa l'ha nascosta nel primo posto che è venuto in mente. Ha visto Vogel e gliel'ha messa in tasca.
Quindi ci buttiamo su questo? Perché non scendiamo crimine passionale, sicuro.
Sì, vai.
The murder of Fabio did not have a ritual purpose, Mr. Manchios. It was staged by a man who wished to distract the investigation.
That might be true. That poor girl Matista wouldn't dare to kill the only man who cared for her. So, Santos.
Mr. Pinchetti snatched at the chance to solve his problems.
Ungrateful little scum. Will he be
Magari.
executed?
But what for? He informed the police as to the crime, that was all. He couldn't stage the ritual, but he found the body, I believe.
I can't believe it. Why did Werner do it?
Mr. Vogel. He had no reason, and he won't be a scapegoat as you plan. You put Fabio's letter in his pocket when he was intoxicated, didn't you?
You can't be serious.
We can very often deduce someone's life by their shoes or their fingernails. You are a meticulous person, but this murder was fairly traumatic and filthy. After you stabbed Fabio, you were covered in blood. You panicked and neglected to rinse the soap from under your fingernails. The devil is in the details.
Cioè, noi prima avevamo appurato che lui non era fissato con l'igiene, poi una delle motivazioni che dà Sherlock è che è fissato con l'igiene. E che cazzo è servuto allora il profilo gli abbiamo designato noi?
Nel senso non è che non ha detto è fissato con l'igiene, però lui prima avevamo appurato che non era fissato con l'igiene perché non gli piace lo sporco, ma soltanto per apparire più giovane, quindi la stessa cosa.
You're at the twilight of your life. You have no partner, you have no children. You had feelings, however, for one man. That was Fabio. You loved him. That is, you wished to own him with money and gifts. But he was also a free mind, was he not? He turned his back on you. Quite unjust. Love, so cruel and painful, and Fabio, with his words and deeds, made you feel the more wretched. So you killed him.
You must surely perceive that my sensitive nature wouldn't allow me to hurt anyone.
You staged the murder as a satanic ritual. It was easy for you, since you were the one who wrote the scenarios for the parties. It was your way of avoiding suspicion. A respectable man in his 60s,
Early 60s.
who hosts the cream of Cordona society, cannot possibly be a murderer. But the guests who behave like animals in his mansion, of course, one of them could have killed Fabio.
I did oversee a few of the rituals, but I did not stage Fabio's death.
The young performer played with your emotions. That was painful to realize. You spent so much time and effort to be with Fabio, but he didn't respond in the way you would have liked. You wanted to be loved. Fabio shattered your dreams. In the smoking lounge, he teased and mocked you. He wanted you to suffer by offering himself to others. The deception was unbearable. You struck him, and then you staged the ritual. You planted the letter in Vogel's pocket and attempted to set up Matista.
What poppycock? Sherlock, stop this game now.
There is no stop word, Mr. Manchios. Relax and enjoy it. I'll pass the remainder of this case to Constable Oswald. He'll know what to do with you.
I can't believe you dared to accuse me.